The human security approach to cybersecurity. Despite how much is invested in technical defenses, the weakest link is always the human factor. So, a security strategy with people at its center, one centered on psychology, wisdom, behavioral influence, and cultural resilience, is not an afterthought, but a necessity in any good modern cybersecurity program. What is human security? Or, in other words, human centric security? It is security that addresses the idea and reality that one of the most vulnerable assets to any given association or organization is the people themselves. There's a focus on understanding the human behavior of those interacting with given systems, how human interaction is used within said systems, and the all around impact of any human in a given cyber domain. A human centric approach is crucial to creating and maintaining a proper cybersecurity landscape. What are the main problems that surround this approach? The main problems are what are the risks of human interaction upon a cybersecurity domain, and what can be done for defense when looking at humans as an easy vulnerability? When looking at the human-centric approach upon when looking at the human-centric approach and human interaction as a whole in cybersecurity, there are a multitude of positives and negatives. Some positives towards this are an increased awareness through different education and training programs that, in the long run, can minimize the likelihood of users falling victim to certain attacks, such as phishing attacks. Heightened system security through communication and user-friendly interfaces due to the emphasis and focus on people, and the strengthening of defenses through increased acceptance of cybersecurity practices in the long run. Jumping over to the negatives, though in a human-centric approach, there's an increased likelihood of human errors initially due to the learning curve of users and initial lack of awareness surrounding threats. Additionally, there can be an increased risk of insider threats if certain approaches involve monthly training checks and password changes that continuously stay the same if the threat knows what is exactly being taught to people as well in a given organization. The, one of the biggest negatives is the ethical considerations, specifically unethical practices. Since a human-centric approach ties directly to the users interacting with systems, there's an increased risk surrounding human privacy and maintaining said privacy. If there are practices being done that seem unethical to users and humans in a given organization, it can lessen this trust and create more issues down the road, like increased insider threats. When looking at ethical issues in the security approach, one must maintain a professional conduct throughout. Three things from CISO's code of conduct that are crucial to the security and connect very well are professional integrity, confidentiality, and conflict of interest. Through professional integrity, we can maintain relations with honesty, no deceit, and no discrimination. This will allow for the building of trust between users and allow for an increased likelihood of participation within them and the human approach. Moving to confidentiality, maintaining confidentiality between the data directly being interacted with is also crucial in the long run. This can cut down on the amount of insider threats. And then moving to conflict of interest, it focuses on not allowing surrounding relations affecting operations, whether this be financial, personal, or other. This can stop any interference between testing results and solutions in a human security approach. Moving into solutions, for a human security approach, there are two main ones. First is education and awareness. The solutions here can be monthly training so that people interacting with crucial systems can detect any cyber risks such as scam links, phishing emails, or even the usage of outside devices in an organization. Following this, there can be mandated testing checks in order to determine that users are actively learning about these risks and how to both avoid and properly report them. The second category of solutions is policies. These solutions could involve the application of frameworks like the NSIT framework so that there's a structured guideline for people and the organization as a whole to identify issues, to identify any issues, protect and defend against it, and properly report it. Another framework is this CTM, or Continuous Threat Exposure Management Framework. Additionally, like monthly training, there can be a mandated monthly password change or password or username criteria, so the risk of the human chosen password is not as high. When thinking about these solutions and the related professional standards around them, it is important to create a good relationship with them. For the previous mentioned professional integrity, people should be honest and truthful about both their general knowledge on certain cyber defense topics and on whether they are fully participating in the training. But on the other side, administration should make sure to maintain equal standing of every person involved with the security risk so that there won't be an uneven amount of learning due to discrimination. When looking at passwords and the need to hit criteria or make changes, it's important to remain confidential on both new and old ones. And the passwords shouldn't be reused throughout, which could lead to more security risks. Moving to conflicts of interest, when looking at them, it is important that some information isn't shared between two separate companies that also may leak secure information. Additionally, it can make sure that there's less of a risk if an organization is ever faced with another insider threat. Thank you.